One second, everybody. Happy Labor Day. That's the holiday it is, right? There's no holidays over at orangebloods.com, so I tend to forget the names of them. Welcome on a Monday Overreaction show or an Overreaction Monday show, however you want to put it. I'm Jeff Ketchum. No Anwar Richardson today. Going to let Anwar be dad and take the morning off. His son Max doing some soccer stuff in San Antonio, so it's just little old me on this Monday morning. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Jump into the Specs chat. Leave your comments. Get interactive. Send me some super chats. We'll make a show out of it. And I plan on giving you a few Monday overreactions when it's all said and done. This video brought to you by the amazing people at RogueShop.com. I used my Rogue Shop products all weekend long. I had a little bit of a gummy from my mom last night. Helped me get a full night's sleep. I've got my pen with my cartridge all ready to go. They've got some special ones right now. This is Azul Dairy. Yeah, if I get a chance, I'm going to knock that out. Well, not the whole thing, but I'll have some of it before today's holiday is over. It's Michigan game week, folks. I don't know if you noticed, it's a big one coming on the heels of Texas thrashing Colorado State 52-0 over the weekend. I've got some hot takes, and the thing is, I don't know how hot they are. I was thinking about that earlier today. I think this is as fast of a Texas team that I've probably seen since 2005, and maybe it's faster than 2005. I was thinking of the wide receivers on that 2005 team, and Billy Pippen was a 4.7 guy. Lima Swede's not 4.7, but you wouldn't call him a speed guy, whereas it feels like every guy in this wide receiving core for the Longhorns. And then on defense, man, those dudes can run to the ball. I think we're looking at an incredibly athletic, fast Texas team. And it's funny, I didn't see it. Someone mentioned that Dan Mullins had mentioned that he thought Texas might be the fastest team in the country. Maybe. Georgia's pretty fast. I'm sure Ohio State's pretty fast. But Texas also really, really fast. It's one of the first things that jumped off the page with me with regards to what happened on Saturday against Colorado State. And I don't think that that's an overreaction to say, holy crap, this team is sizzling from a speed standpoint. I don't feel like speed doesn't have bad days. Texas won't show up in Ann Arbor on Monday and suddenly look slower. So the speed of this Texas team absolutely stood out to me. I also think this might be the pure fastest offense that we've seen since 2005. So it's not just the team, but I think the offense is especially fast. And I started wondering, what's the fastest team Michigan's ever had go to Ann Arbor? It has to be one of the Ohio State teams from over the years. And I started thinking about the great Ohio State teams and trying to figure out which ones would have been to Michigan and which ones would have played at home. I'd have to have some Ohio State fans let me know who they think the fastest teams are. I was thinking of the Percy Harvin, Anthony Gonzalez teams. That has 2006, but I can't remember where that game was played. Started thinking about, Florida State went to Michigan in 1991, and that was at the height of the Bobby Bowden speed teams. Oregon went there in 2007. Michigan is a great program, and they've got speed, and they're really good defensively. Let's not get carried away and act like they're Colorado State. But let's also not get carried away and pretend that this year's Michigan team is the same as last year's Michigan's team. They're much worse at quarterback. I think they're much worse at running back. Losing Blake Corum, as it turns out, kind of a big deal. He's really good. He was really good. I wonder how many teams over the years Michigan has played that have come to the Big House and presented as much speed as this Texas team will. And I'll just go ahead and get my big hot take out of the way. And the thing is, well, I guess I should say it before I start defending it. And by the way, El Presidente, I see your super chat. Let's just go right to it. Texas is going to beat the brakes off of Michigan this Saturday. Happy Labor Day, 1999. El Presidente, I totally agree. My big hot take on this Monday, Texas will win in the Big House on Saturday by 3 scores. 17 plus points. If you can find Texas -5, even anything better than that, -4, it feels like this game is, from a bookkeeping standpoint, Vegas standpoint, is kind of all over the place. I know FanDuel had it at -6.5 at one point. There are still, I think, I'm sure the books have all adjusted from the weekend, because you could still find Texas at -3, -4. I think Texas is going to be way too much for Michigan this weekend. Michigan is not good offensively. They're just not. And Texas is going to have a significant quarterback advantage. That's indisputable. Texas will enter the game on Saturday with a massive quarterback advantage, a massive offense advantage. And I think this Michigan team doesn't know yet. And look, based off of one game, but also based off of turnaround of the turnover of the personnel, it's not the same Michigan team. And can we say the quiet part out loud about what Texas will go into this weekend? No offense to Sharon Moore. He's not Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is one of the best head coaches in the modern era of football, not just college football. He's a great head coach. He was great with the 49ers. He got them to a Super Bowl. He got them within, he could touch a victory in the Super Bowl. He's won a national championship. We're talking about one of the best to do it. He's not there anymore. And while his DNA will be on this team, and they will be tough, and they'll put up a fight, and look, who knows? It's certainly within the realm of possibilities that I would be wrong when it comes to the outcome this weekend. Maybe it plays a little closer than I'm anticipating. But Texas goes into this game on Saturday in Ann Arbor with an absolute race car of an offense. And Michigan is like, it's like an old Pinto. They aren't running the ball as successfully. At least they didn't on Saturday against Fresno State. They didn't run the ball really well. The passing game is a real work in progress. The problem that they're going to have, look, it will take Michigan's defense completely just showing up and being the dominant force on the field. And that could happen, I suppose, in order to keep this game close. Michigan's problem is going to be that if Texas shows up and just has a pretty good day, I'm not convinced that Michigan can keep up. I think the worst case scenario for Michigan is Texas goes up early in that game, maybe goes up 10 early in that game. And I don't know that Michigan offense is built to chase. I don't know that it's frankly built to compete yet at the level that Texas will bring with them on Saturday. Texas is a legit top 5 team. I don't know what Michigan is. So, yeah, I've thought for a while that Texas would win in Ann Arbor throughout the offseason, but I've always felt like, guys, don't sleep on Michigan. Don't think it's just going to be an easy game. And understand this, me saying that I think Texas wins by 3 scores does not mean I think it's going to be an easy game. Doesn't mean that I think they're just going to go in and blow Michigan out. It means I think over 60 minutes of football in 5 days, Texas will just be too much offensively for Michigan to be able to keep up with. So, 3 scores means more than 16 points. So I could see 34-17. I could see 31-14, something like that. But I think this Texas football team without getting crazy and saying that at the end of the year, they're going to do this and they're going to, I don't know that anything has changed about the way that I think this Texas season will unfold. I have them competing in the SEC championship. I have them making the Final Four in college football. I have them losing to Ohio State in a national semifinal. I think Ohio State will be fine, by the way. If you watch that game this weekend and you were like, Will Howard sucks and Ohio State is overrated, slow down. Slow down. Let's give it more than a week. I'm sure Will Howard will be fine. That Ohio State team's super talented. And, if you're Michigan, you're just hoping that the old adage, the cliche of the team, between game 1 and game 2 is when you see the most amount of improvement made. Michigan's hoping for that this week. But they're hoping that that's not true of Texas. This is a really good Texas team. And I think what we saw on Saturday was an elevation. You can see Steve Sarkisian's program reaching new levels. And I think, it's funny. Anwar Richardson and I were doing the Overreaction Monday show last week, and I said, hey, will you ask Sarkisian if he thinks that his backups could be a top 25 team? And Anwar laughed, and he said it was a good question, but he didn't think Sarkisian would take the bait. I don't think Sarkisian would take the bait this week, right? By the way, the press conference this week, an hour later than normal. We still haven't decided officially how we're going to handle House Divided later today, whether or not it'll be 1 o'clock or we still go on at noon and just react in real time to the things that Steve Sarkisian says. We'll figure it out. My instincts were to go at noon, but maybe on Labor Day, maybe we just go at 1 o'clock. I don't know. But I think Michigan will go into the film room this week and they'll look at that tape and they'll go, this is a really good Texas team. They're great at quarterback. They have the best quarterback room in the country. I don't know if Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback, but the combination of he and Arch Manning, Arch Manning starts for Michigan right now, no questions asked. In fact, I watched a lot of football this weekend where one of my big overreaction hot takes on a Monday would be Arch Manning can start for a lot of college football teams. If Arch Manning was at Texas A&M, he's the starting quarterback. They beat Notre Dame over the weekend. If Arch Manning is at LSU, he's the starting quarterback. They beat USC last night. Arch Manning is really good. And he's just sitting behind an older guy in his third year as a starter right now. But Texas loaded. All that speed at running back, I think one of the, I feel bad for C.J. Baxter for a million reasons. The injury, obviously a big part of it. But from a symbolic standpoint, this was supposed to be his season as the frontline guy, along with Jaden Blue. He loses that opportunity, and as a byproduct, and I guess Sarkisian told the TV commentators this when they talked during the week, as a byproduct of that injury, Trey Wisner moves up the totem pole. Texas is faster at running back than they were previously. That the combination of Wisner and Blue is just faster than the combination of Baxter and Blue. So they are inadvertently unscheduled. They're faster at running back. That wide receiving group may not be as top-heavy good as last year's was, but it's probably a little bit deeper. Can't really say it's faster because Xavier Worthy was on last year's team, and they got nobody quite that fast on this team, but they go more guys deep with just game-changing, game-breaking ability. The last year's team wasn't 6 deep. I'm also wondering if they're 7 deep, and do we get a little bit more Ryan Niblett this weekend? Not saying that Ryan Niblett would get more than 3 or 4 touches in the game. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about him. But I watched that game last week and thought there's some wrinkles with Ryan Niblett as a pseudo running back wide receiver combo that if you're ever going to break them out in Ann Arbor. But in general, I couldn't have been more impressed with Texas over the weekend. I suppose defensively, I mean, they did pitch a shutout. And did Colorado State get a little bit of a run game going? I guess. You get to halftime, they had a long of 13 yards. I think it was like 52, 53 yards on 15 rushes. I didn't get the sense while watching the game that Colorado State was really establishing a run game. You couldn't call it that. They got a little something. And obviously, they ended up with a 100-yard running back after the game had completely been played out and Texas really started playing the reserves. They got a little bit going, but, Michigan struggled to run the football this weekend. It's funny, Cody Carpentier, shout out to Cody if he is in the chat. By the way, I'm sorry if I'm missing the chat. One of the things about just kind of doing like a long monologue on an Overreaction Monday show where I'm flying solo is that it's hard to talk and completely keep up with the chat. So in a second, I'll stop and take some chats. And if you got some super chats, I see one. As a matter of fact, stop the show. Stop whatever I'm saying. Cody Carpentier, if you're there, make sure I circle back around and mention the point that you made in your column on Orange Bloods earlier today. But Longhorn football edits for $10 in my best catch voice. I don't know what that means. On a Labor Day Monday, there's a world where Texas goes to Ann Arbor and dog walks the Wolverines. We live in that world, Longhorn Nation. Hook 'em. And it's like a mad face. Thank you, Longhorn football edits. I appreciate it. Jordan coming in right hot, right behind you. Will Johnson is an elite corner for $4.99, but we had 10 guys catch passes. Texas by 24 plus. Okay, Jordan. Okay. I am not that far, but I'm not that far away either. I just think that Texas right now is better than Michigan. And look, I did not think there was a world last year where if Texas gets by Washington, right? Because that was a game when you get to the Final Four, Texas was knocking on the door of a game-winning touchdown in the final seconds. I don't believe that they would have come. I think Michigan beats them by double digits. Michigan was the best team in the country last year. So when I say I think Texas is going to beat Michigan by 16 plus, it's not like I'm all wrapped up in burnt orange feels and just can't see Michigan as, how could they beat Texas? Last year's team beats Texas. Last year's team better coach than Texas. No offense to Steve Sarkisian. Jim Harbaugh is elite. He may cheat, but he's elite. Who knows? Maybe if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Somebody said that once upon a time. Jimmy Johnson, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. Jimmy didn't say that, but he probably thought it. This Michigan team, this Michigan team kind of reminds me of the 2006 Longhorns. Vince goes. Obviously, a number of guys off that 05 team go pro. They come back in 06. There's the changeover at quarterback. And quite frankly, Colt McCoy in 2006 was way better than the early impressions of what Michigan is playing with at quarterback right now. But you still had a big portion of that offensive line, right? Justin Blaylock is back and stuttered in the Sid line. Really good team in the middle, in the trenches, that 06 Texas team. But they'd lost a notch. They were not remotely as good as the 2005 team, even though they returned a bunch of guys. And, they played that Ohio State game week 2, 1-2 at home. But Ohio State wins that game 28-7, and it felt like there was a 21-point difference between those two teams. That one team was young and inexperienced at quarterback and not quite ready for that kind of a matchup, and Ohio State had Troy Smith. It feels like Texas is a little bit 2006 Ohio State, and I think Michigan might be a little bit 2006 Texas. Texas plays that game at home like this Michigan team. And, for a quarter and a half, it was a close game. And then Ohio State's quality just won out. And Texas couldn't match Ohio State's firepower in that game. I see a lot of that in this game on Saturday. It's just a Michigan team that doesn't quite know who it is yet. They've got that DNA from the championship team, but you got to change over at quarterback. You got to change over at running back. You've got Donovan Edwards. They can't win on Saturday against Texas without Donovan Edwards having a big game against Texas. And he was just a guy on Saturday against Fresno State. But Will Johnson is elite. Michigan's defense is exceptional. And I think that defense will keep them in the game for a while. They will. Look, again, don't misconstrue me thinking that Texas wins this game pulling away with thinking I don't know that they're going to dog walk Michigan. That's not what I'm saying. But I do not think that Michigan has the offensive personnel to hang with what I think will be an elite Texas offense this season. And at some point, the worst thing that can happen to Michigan is that Texas gets ahead by double digits, that it's a early 17-7 game midway through the second quarter. And then suddenly, if you're Michigan, you feel that pressure. You feel that, if we don't get some points and they score again, this game might be over. And then what do you start to do? Then you don't know who you are. And so either you stick with the run because you don't trust the pass, or you trust the pass when you shouldn't trust the pass. And I just feel like this is a Michigan offense won't be ready for this matchup. And somebody mentioned on orangebloods.com in my 10 thoughts in a weekend thread, and I would suggest go read that over at orangebloods.com. It was good. It's a good column. I think I did a good job with it. That by the end of the year, maybe Michigan's a team you don't want to play. Maybe, or maybe this Michigan team all season long won't be anywhere just near as good as they were a year ago. Maybe this is like a 3-loss Michigan team, which 9-3 would mean that Michigan probably ends up just outside the playoffs. And calling them a 9-3 team doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means they're not elite. And I'm telling you, they will not be able to replicate the speed that Texas will bring to town on Saturday. They're going to talk about it this week. They will try to simulate it, but they don't have the dudes. And what we know about Steve Sarkisian is he loves him some speed. And this is what a Steve Sarkisian team, where he's hand-selected the skill players, this is what it looks like. It looks like a NASCAR team. So, or maybe even an Indy circuit team. They have speed. Again, it is the Overreaction Monday show. This show brought to you by Rogue Shop. Check out Rogue Shop. Go to rogueshop.com, and everybody's got different needs: anxiety, pain, sleeplessness, restlessness, focus issues. The cool thing about Rogue Shop, they got a little bit of everything for everything you might need. So just go shop. Just go check them out. Find out if there's something for what ails you. Give it a shot. And, on this Labor Day, find you a product over at Rogue Shop that will make your life just a little bit better. I'm scrolling through. I don't see any super chats, but I'm just making sure. I see some Oklahoma people in the chat today. I'm curious, how does Oklahoma feel about their team today? They obviously beat the brakes off of Temple. I don't know how I feel about Oklahoma one game in. I've thought that Jackson Arnold will have a big season. All Oklahoma quarterbacks do. They throw for a lot of yards. I think, they suffer a pretty big injury at wide receiver this weekend. How that will impact the Texas game in October remains to be seen. I mean, my guess is if they need to roll some dudes out in wheelchairs, they will. I wonder if they're too much side to side. Now, is game one, so maybe Oklahoma's just not showing a lot on tape in the opener. I wonder. They're good. Are they really good? Are they a little bit too much playing in a phone booth if you're Oklahoma? It's too early to know that. I know that there's still some real questions about that Oklahoma offensive line. You know, there were times when they got pushed around a little bit. Not a lot. It wasn't like Temple was dictating terms in that game, not even close. But, you know, even Oklahoma websites today are talking a little bit about that offensive line and what does that mean. I thought Georgia obviously looked really good. They are deserving number one team in the country right now. Let's see. What's this? A little bit of Oklahoma. Oh, you trash 1-12 on third down. Okay, 1st and 12 outs. I like that name, by the way. I don't like, you know, again, I just don't know how I feel about Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a work in progress. Jackson Arnold is a work in progress. I think they're going to be fine. The question is fine the bar? I don't know. If I start thinking about what teams this weekend, who do I feel different about today versus what I thought I would see this weekend? Miami would definitely be up there. I was really disappointed in Florida. And Cody Carpentier, and I still haven't seen Cody in the chat, so maybe I'm not paying attention. And Cody's in there, or maybe he's just being quiet. He could be, you know, tired. It was quite a content piece he put out over at Orange Bloods this morning. Maybe he's sleeping. But he and I both looked at that Florida roster and said, a lot of returning guys, 16 guys on the Senior Bowl watch list. Maybe there's a little something there more than as a nation we are expecting out of the Gators. And the answer in week one was no. There's a video on Twitter going around right now where Miami players were walking up to Florida recruits and telling them, hey, man, don't go here. Do not come to school here. Man, Miami did that to them in the swamp. I know there's some bitterness there. The Aggies weren't as good this weekend as I thought the Aggies would be. Connor Wigman, not as good as I thought Connor Wigman would be. By the way, I'm going to lie. I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to reference this ever again because it might give me nightmares. I still don't know what to make of Wigman from game day. And I'm not even talking about his voice. It's an interesting voice and dialect and all of that, but that's not even what I'm talking about. If you missed the game day piece on Saturday, A&M's coaching staff brought in, what do they call those guys? Like a mentalist, or I don't know exactly what the guy, like he's a magician of some sorts with a really, he's like, I'm a mentalist or whatever the hell he calls himself. He's like a magician. He's like a high level magician. And he does this trick on Connor Wigman where he told Wigman, think of a card and a deck of cards, right? Pick a card. So Wigman in his head, he's like, I picked the Queen of Spades. And then the guy tells Wigman to take off his right shoe. And inside the shoe is the Queen of Spades. And he even went so far as to say, if you were going to call a friend and tell a friend about what just happened, who would you call? And he's like, Carrie. And he's like, you don't have to tell Carrie. And he had the Carrie's name written on the back of the card. It's an amazing trick. How Wigman sounded wasn't my issue. What was my issue was that Wigman came across as a guy, like what, you ever come across one of those people who's afraid of clowns? Like just, they're freaked out by clowns. And the moment they see one, they're like, oh no, get him away from me. And you're like, what? We're at a McDonald's. What's the problem? Keep him away from me. Do not let that clown come near me. And you're just like, what are you for? It's a clown. It's a dude in a clown costume. It's Ronald McDonald. Wigman to me came across as the kind of person who's afraid of clowns. You know, he sees this magic trick, and the whole time he's like, "Oh no, 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 no!" I'm not. And this is not my Wigman impersonation because I'm not sure I can impersonate Wigman. I don't have that. Chad might be able to do it. I can't do Connor Wigman. He's like, no, 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 man, no, no, no. And I'm like, are you afraid of clowns? Are you? I used to go to high school with, what was her name? I can't remember her name, but I went to high school with a girl who was afraid of balloons. And I was such a dick. I'd go out of my way every once in a while. I'll never forget, I had a chemistry class with her. And every once in a while, I would bring a balloon into class and I would hide the balloon. But I would start to like make that noise that balloons make when you just mess with them, you know, that the balloon noises, right? Not like you're letting air out of the balloon, but like you're just manhandling the balloon and it makes those balloon noises. And it was like a Jedi sense. She could hear it and then she would just freak out. Who's got the balloon? I was such a jerk. Oh, you're afraid of balloons? Let me see if I can antagonize you and make your life miserable by just sneaking balloons in the classroom. But as I watched Wigman on Saturday on game day, I was just thinking to myself, this dude's a little bit out there, man. This dude wasn't just impressed by a cool magic trick. He's freaked out by it. Oh, man, no, 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 none of this. No, I don't want to know. It's like, he's not a clown. You're not at McDonald's. You haven't walked into the land of like fear. Chill out. Then I watched the game on Saturday. And so someone on Orange Blood said it looked like he was seeing ghosts out on the field. And I thought, do we know that he only looked like he was seeing ghosts out on the field? Is it possible that Connor Wigman actually saw ghosts on the field? If you told me today, hey, you know, the thing about Connor Wigman is he believes in Bigfoot, I would absolutely believe it. I would think to myself, that explains everything. He believes in Bigfoot. That guy goes hunting, and the whole time he's like, gotta watch out for them Sasquatches. They'll come and get you. If you fall asleep at a campsite and you'll wake up in the morning, all your food will be gone. Sasquatch. Weigman's an interesting dude. And I don't know what to think about A&M anymore because I've thought to myself, well, Wigman's really good. He's really talented. I saw that guy in high school. He was amazing. Now all I can see is a guy who's probably afraid of clowns and believes in Bigfoot. And I don't know what to make of the Aggies other than they look like a probable 7-5 type team. Mike Elco, by the way, a little bit of Charlie Strong in that man. Tell me you didn't see Mike Elco with the Charlie Strong deer in the headlights look this weekend where it's just like, I can't do an impersonation of Connor Wigman, but this is my Mike Elco. Very Charlie Strong-like. I couldn't decide. I don't know if I'm allowed to call him White Charlie. I thought about it. It's like, you know, he kind of is White Charlie. But I don't know that in 2024 I can go around calling Mike Elco White Charlie. Seems like I should be able to. But it feels like the kind of thing maybe you get canceled over too. Say it enough. So I've settled on he's Jersey Charlie. Mike Elco is New Jersey Charlie. And A&M fans, here's the thing. Texas fans spent 3 years with Charlie Strong. A lot came with that. But one of the things that came with 3 years of Charlie Strong is that Texas fans can spot Charlie Strong. Right? The moment they see a head coach kick off twice in both halves, it's like, oh, a little bit of Charlie over there. we watched that opener, and Mike Elco, who, like Charlie Strong, got the job that he is currently at because he had a little bit of success at a smaller non-Power 5 school. And right, wasn't Louisville American Conference at the time? I don't even remember. They eventually elevated up. This problem in college athletics is the teams are constantly moving conferences that I forget exactly where Louisville was a decade ago. But we can spot Charlie. We know what Charlie looks like. We know how he acts. We know in what situations Charlie will just... And Mike Elco had some Charlie Strong stuff going on. And when I do my show with Chad later today on House Divided, I will point that out. I'm going to say, hey, Chad, what did you think of the Aggies on Saturday? Because I thought I saw Charlie Strong, Jersey Charlie. Because I don't think I can call him White Charlie. Cody Carpentier said Charlie's little brother Mike. A little bit. I'm trying to where's that at? I'm just telling you, I've seen the look before. At no point in that game on Saturday did I think to myself, hey, A&M will be all right. They've got Mike Elco. Because if you watch the USC LSU game last night, it's 20-20. USC gets the ball late. It was hard not to think, man, USC's got Lincoln Riley. And no matter what any of us think about Lincoln Riley, and Sooner fans, I know you were in the chat, don't curse. Don't curse. I know how you feel. Don't curse. But say what you want to about Lincoln Riley. Like, the man can scheme up some offense. The man can coach a quarterback. And when LSU scores to make that thing 20-20, they left just too much time on the clock. And you knew Lincoln Riley he may not over the long haul get it done as a head coach at USC, but inside of a 60-minute game, 2 minutes to go, offensively, he's good. And you knew, like, okay, well, they're going to get into position to kick a field goal, period. And I don't know that there's anything LSU can do to stop it. And look, Sark's that way, right? Sark still has a lot to prove as a head coach at this level. But in a game, we all trust that offensively he can whip some stuff up. That's his skill set. That's what he is really, really good at doing. We'll find out whether or not being a great head coach is part of that. But just like with Lincoln Riley, that okay, well, Sark will have a little something offensively. He will be able to change the terms of this game to some degree. You will not be able to stop what they're doing at all times because he's really good at what he does. I don't know. Mike Elco, it's Jersey Charlie. That's what A&M has on their hands. They have officially left the Jimbo era, whatever the hell that was, and they've now entered the Jersey Charlie era. And look, I'm telling you, throughout this season, there will be moments where we just make fun of Mike Elco. And Texas fans have it coming because they went 3 years with Charlie Strong and everybody made fun of their coach, and they had to live through that. You're damn right Texas fans have a right now to enjoy the hell out of Mike Elco at A&M. Jersey Charlie. By the way, good job Texas Tech this weekend, beating arch rival Abilene Christian in overtime. Well done, Texas Tech. Way to show the world that we were all wrong when we said Micah Hudson's crazy for going to school at Texas Tech. Nice job. I don't even know. Micah was dressed, but he's been coming back from an injury. So Micah Hudson, I don't know. But if you were Micah Hudson, look, I'm the checks are cashing. And Micah's probably happy that friends and family and a little bit of a legacy. And like, I get it. But that dude had to be sitting on the sidelines on Saturday going, what the fuck did I just do? What was I thinking? I've been there, Micah. I was once at Dallas nightclub in Austin in my 20s. Had too many beverages. Found myself making out with a woman that was missing a tooth. And I remember like in mid makeout, like, the fuck am I doing? What have I done? How is it 2:30 in the morning and this is my lot in life? So it's one of those moments you wake up from as a young adult. You go, never again. Micah Hudson had his 2:30 in the morning missing tooth woman reaction. You know, you're just like, that was bad decision making. That was desperate decision making. Never again. I think that's Micah Hudson today. He's on his computer like, what were the names of the coaches that were recruiting me again? I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know I'm interested. I am not going to be here with the gap tooth woman anymore. And yes, Texas Tech is the gap tooth woman, or maybe it's not even gap tooth. I guess it just depends on how big of a space the missing tooth creates. You know, there's a difference between jewel and trailer trash. Sometimes you have to find out the hard way. And Micah Hudson found out the hard way on Saturday. I'm avoiding the chat right now because I can only imagine the reactions in the chat. This is what happens when you get me on a Monday and there's no Anwar Richardson. I start telling stories. I'm telling you. I was keeping up with that Texas Tech game. I did the thing that I said all day Saturday I wasn't going to do, which was pay attention to the Big 12 at all. I was like, it's nice. I have no idea what Iowa State is doing today. That is a good day. But then Saturday night rolled around and somebody in the Orange Blood staff mentioned Texas Tech is in a battle with Abilene Christian. And I went, what? You know, because when you're keeping up with only top 25 games, you don't pay attention to Texas Tech. So I was like, wait, what? They're in a game with Abilene Christian. By the way, shout out to Abilene Christian, like thoughts and well wishes with that university and its football program today. They had a bus accident on the way back from the game, and sounds like some people got hurt. I haven't seen the full details other than that happened. So here's to Abilene Christian and hoping that everybody's okay from that accident. That's just the stuff of nightmares to think. I used to have a phobia about that, you know, being in a bus accident with a bunch of people on it when I was in high school. Maybe because I just never trusted the bus drivers, which oftentimes were the coaches of the football team. It's like, well, what the hell? Why is the JV football coach driving 40 kids on a bus? Plus, one time, the head basketball coach, this is a true story, the head basketball coach had me drive a bus, the JV bus, back from McCallum High School. We were at Hayes. In the middle of rain, I drove a small bus back to McCallum High School. He picked me because he thought I was the most responsible. And I just remember driving home the bus. I've never driven a bus before. It's raining. I'm on the highway. Was this smart? And then from that moment on, I was always afraid I'm going to end up in an accident on a school bus with a bunch of people on it. So the Abilene Christian thing scares the hell out of me because I used to have like a irrational, maybe it wasn't even irrational. I just used to have a fear of that, having been put into a position at 16 years old to drive a bunch of kids back. I have no idea what happened to the bus driver. I just was asked, can you drive a bus? Can you drive the bus? I trust you the most to drive the bus. Sure, coach, I can drive the bus. The 90s were a little bit different, just so you know. Which scares me to death thinking about the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. If I was driving a bus in the 90s, what in God's name was happening in the 70s? Were they letting monkeys drive the bus? Like, I don't know. But Texas Tech, I turned that game on in the sense that I have no idea if it was on TV or not. It might have been an ESPN Plus game, and for whatever reason, ESPN Plus was just acting up on me this weekend. I couldn't watch any videos, any live games. It pissed me off. So I'm keeping up on the stat tracker. Abilene Christian goes to overtime. They get the ball second. They score a touchdown, and they're in that position where it's like, well, now you got to start going for two. You might as well do it now. They went for two. They didn't convert. Was that like 52-51? Like I said, hey, Sandman, I'm back. Sandman's like back. 2 football. Where's the catch? Sandman, where's the comma? You should have done back to football and then just a comma and then catch. I'm just saying. You know what? Hey, I see this in the chat. You do have to talk about McMillan having one of the most insane wide receiver games that you've ever heard of. The former 5-star cat at Arizona, 300 plus yards this weekend. That guy should have transferred. That is my default response moving forward to all players that play at schools like Arizona. That guy had a chance to enter the transfer portal and play some football that's meaningful. Instead, he's still at Arizona. I know he's with a new coach. He's going to put up a bunch of yards. He'll go play in the NFL. But that's probably the highlight of his career. That 300-yard game in the opener of the 2024 season. Nobody will ever remember anything that McMillan ever does ever again. He should have transferred. Same thing, I saw like the Boise State running back, Janty. There were a lot of rumors that he might transfer to Texas at one point last December. He had a huge game. I thought the same thing about him. Mr. Chance should have transferred. You'll end up playing in the NFL. You'll end up, being drafted. All that stuff. Like, you'll be fine. But I wish you were playing football that mattered. And the thing about McMillan is he had 300 yards for Arizona, and I barely remember that Arizona's in the Big 12. It's like, oh, that's right. That happened. Hey, shout out to Isaiah Nayor. 100-plus yards for Nebraska this weekend. They play Colorado. It'll be fun seeing Isaiah. Nayor's career, what does it look like? What happens? I guess the question is in 2022, what happens if Nayor doesn't get hurt in 2022 for the Longhorns? Because it was a season where Worthy was the only real wide receiver threat that they had because Nayor gets hurt. For those that missed it, he had like 121 yards and a touchdown this weekend for Nebraska. He looked really good. And we always thought he would be really good. He's now 2 years removed from that knee injury. I think we'll see the best of Isaiah Nayor. Congrats to him on a good start to the season. Love seeing that. Love seeing that. Love seeing guys come back from injury. We sometimes, I think about this with Jonathan Brooks. Whatever he does with Carolina in the NFL this season, let's judge him off what happens in 2025. I always feel like with some of these guys now in modern science and modern medicine, they come back really fast. And it's like, oh, it's like they never had an ACL injury. But then some of these guys take an extra season. It takes 2 years to fully come back. I think that's probably the case with Isaiah Nayor. And we'll find that out this season at Nebraska. Best of luck to him all season long. Longhorn Football edits, $5. I'm going to need the commentators to stop with Quintravion. He calls himself Trey. His parents call him Trey. It's Trey. Except online and in the media guide, they call him Quintravion. By the way, what's wrong with Quintravion? That's a $5 handle right there. If I'm being completely honest, I kind of like Quintravian more than Trey. Trey's easier. Trey Wisner. But you know what sounds more badass than Trey Wisner? Quintavian Wisner. Hot damn, yes. Yes. I feel like I'm Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally. When I hear Quintravian, I get orgasmic. What a name. No, I disagree with you. You may say his parents call him Trey. They literally named him Quintravian. So don't say, well, his mama calls him Trey, I'm going to call him Trey. No, his mama named him Quintravian. When Cassius Clay got his name wasn't Cassius Travian, and it was like, oh, they call him Cassius for short. No, that was his name. Quintravian is his name. And I think I'm going to stick with Quintravius. From now on, Quintravius or Quintravian. The problem is I might call it like 19 different things. It's Quintravian, and I'll say Quintravius because I like maybe Quintravius even more. I don't know. You never know with me. I hit the rogue product, and it's the Opinion Sports Show wants me. Can you comment on how bad Houston looked? How can they look like they don't care already? Opinion Sports Show? No, I cannot. I do not care about Houston football. And you cannot make me care enough about Houston football that I comment on it. They lost to UNLV. Think that's right, maybe? Like, I know they lost by 20. Was it UNLV? I know Jalen Catalon had a pick six and 2 interceptions in his game. I care so little about Houston that I think that might have happened against them, but I can't say for sure. I have nothing to say about Houston. Holgerson's not even there anymore. I don't even know who their head coach is. I do not care. And Opinion Sports Show, I would suggest to you, you don't have to care either. Yes, last year it was Trey, but it was always Quintavian. It always was. His mama always called him something else. On the birth certificate, what does it say? If it says Trey, then by God, I'll call him Trey. Now, I'll probably call him Trey Wisner. But let's show the guy enough respect to at least know the name and say it without feeling like we have to hit the eject cord. Opinion Sports Show. I definitely did not know this. You could have said catch for $1 million. You have 10 guesses. Can you name the Houston Cougars head coach? I'd have been Mike Stoops, Holgers, no. Clyde Drexler, I would not have known that. And maybe that makes you a smarter college football fan, Opinion Sports Show than me. I just don't care. Only thing about the Houston Cougars I care about is, do they have any players that are entering the portal that are any good? No reason to care. Let's see. I'm going to wrap things up here on the Overreaction Monday show, in part because it's Monday. It's Labor Day. I've been going for an hour. Kevin Allen with $1.99 super chat. Catch Rogue this AM. No judgment. Just curious. No, not yet. But, I mean, the 9 o'clock hour is not over yet. If I wrap up this show in the next 5 minutes, probably, maybe. But no, you're getting all natural catch this morning. Whatever that is, good, bad, indifferent, terrible, it's all natural. I have not yet let Rogue Shop take me away. Like those old remember the old Calgon was like a bubble bath for women? Calgon, take me away. I'm going to do that with Rogue a little bit later on. How is Chad feeling? I don't know. Hold on. Let me ask him. Chad, the people in the chat want to know how you are feeling. Before we sign off, I'll let you know how Chad's feeling. I just sent him a note. We'll see how, it might be that he won't want to answer that question. I like this Sark After Dark. The only problem with this, I don't think Texas will take Micah Hudson. It'd be quite a slap in the face of the dudes they did recruit to bring him in now. No, you got to let Micah Hudson lie in that bed. You made it. Sleep in it. Ryan Williams is going to be too expensive. I had somebody tell me on the Alabama side of things a couple of weeks ago that Ryan Williams might enter the portal just to find out, not with any real intention to leave Alabama, but maybe the best way to get the best NIL deal possible is to make yourself NIL available on the market. And then you'll find out what your street value really is. Ryan Williams is going to cost more money than Decorian Moore. So good luck with that, Alabama, because when that dude, if and when he enters the portal, what's 1.5 is like the starting price there? I don't know. By the way, let me check the Chad. Chad's ignoring me. He does not want to answer the question of how he's feeling. So what I would say is this. Show up for House Divided. Pretty sure we're just going to go at noon. We're not going to bend to Sarkisian changing the time of the press conference. We will do a show while the press conference is taking place. It's not like he's going to say anything of interest anyway. We'll find out. I will examine. Oh, hold on. He's typing something. I can see in Teams there's like a little bubble. He's typing. So I'm giving you play-by-play. It is not a short sentence. It doesn't look like. But Chad Hastings is typing something right now. Is Chad in the corner crying? I'm going to tell you in just a second. Uh-oh, he stopped typing. The little bubbles went away. Chad's curled up in the bottom of the shower. Maybe, but he's not. It may be too soon to be asking him how he's doing. I'm just saying there was an answer and then it stopped. The typing stopped. It could be that he was typing out, fuck you, and then decided, oh, it's Monday. I don't want to curse out people in the chat. By the way, if there are any Manchester United fans out in the chat right now, I enjoyed that yesterday so much. So thank you very much. We'll end it with Paul, $4.99 super chat. My overreaction. Texas has never been deeper at wide receiver and has the deepest wide receiver room in the country. Weren't they just as deep last year? The starting lineup is literally full of guys in the NFL right now. You had Jonte Cook. You had Isaiah Nayor, who's 100-plus yards at Nebraska. You had DeAndre Moore. We got to start putting some respect on the names of the receivers that Texas had a year ago. Because I don't know. Paul, I think you're halfway right. They probably do have the deepest wide receiver room in the country. But I don't know that it was deeper at wide receiver than last year. Because I still don't know that there's anybody. I know there's nobody that I would take over Xavier Worthy. I don't think I'm taking Isaiah Bond over Adonai Mitchell. I'll probably take Isaiah Bond over Jordan Whittington. But I don't know that I'm taking. I know Matthew Golden's got better chemistry, it seems like, than he had with Jordan Whittington. But Texas was deep last year at wide receiver. They were really good. Now, They didn't play those dudes all the time because they were so good at the top that they left them on the bench. They were still deep. Just little perspective. Let me check on Chad one more time. Oh, this is officially Chad Hastings' response. Quote, trying to find some patience, ... and 8 wins. Right now, I'm finding a little more of the former, barely. End quote. There you go. Put some name on Mitchell's, put some respect on Adonai Mitchell's name. All that dude did was catch touchdowns in playoff games. And I tell you what, let Isaiah Bond go to Michigan this week, have a big game against arguably the best corner in the country. Then we'll say he's at Adonai Mitchell's level. Not ready to say that. By the way, Longhorn Football Edits, I lied. I'll let you close out the show. Super chat, $2. Silas Superman Bolden! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And on that note, guys, I've got a couple of hours between now and the start of House Divided. I'm going to drink some of this Smart Water. I'm going to have some of this Rogue product, which technically it will be some of this Rogue product. And then I'll be back at noon with more shit talking. Connor Wigman, I'm coming back for more. What is it when you're, what is it? Hold on. What is the phobia? Fear of clowns phobia. It's called Coulrophobia. COUL. Here's what it's called. This is what I think Connor Wigman has. I think he has a fear of clowns. I'm trying to put it up. There it is. Connor Wigman has that. Coulrophobia. I think he's afraid of clowns, which makes it really hard to have like 4-year-old birthday parties at McDonald's when you're terrified of clowns. Or Sasquatch. Could be both. Guys, hit that thumbs up button. Go to rogueshop.com. Do some shopping. Get some gummies. Sleep like a baby. And until